Hey y'all, it's Celt, and I know you're waiting for part 3 of my Predicting Civil War series, but we need to take a break from that, because we need to talk about how it wasn't a trans person, it wasn't a drag queen. What I mean by that is the current rhetoric surrounding trans people from the far right and from the bigots is that trans people are predators or groomers, completely ignoring the fact that the majority of grooming or child sexual abuse comes from cis-het, meaning cisgendered heterosexual white males. But by creating the rhetoric that trans people are groomers or predators, what this does is give the far right the ability to, one, demonize an entire group of people. And it gives them the ability to distract from the cis-het white dudes who are abusing children. It creates this rhetoric that only trans people and drag queens and the people who support them, such as Democrats, liberals, and leftists, are the only people abusing children. But this isn't a rhetoric that just suddenly sprang up overnight. This has been a rhetoric that the far right has been pushing us towards for the last few years. For example, in 2021, we had the far right come out with the super straight rhetoric. What was the super straight rhetoric? Well, we should let one of the so-called super straights go ahead and tell us what that is. Roll clip.
Super straight is a new sexual orientation. It means you would date the opposite gender, but not if they were trans. This is not the same thing as transphobic, just like how gay men that only date men aren't sexist.
That's Luke Rockwell, aka Teacher Luke on TikTok. Luke Rockwell is a teacher in Thailand working for a private Christian school. On TikTok, he has 2 million followers claiming that he teaches people English. In reality, he's nothing more than an outrage farmer.
How do you say this word? Today I'm going to teach you 3 different ways to say this word. Some have a hard R and some do not.
And on top of the outrage farming that he does, he used his TikTok following to push to 2 million people the transphobic super straight rhetoric. The super straight movement was to push the idea that trans people would force you to either date or have sex with them or else be labeled transphobic. So they created a mock sexuality and a way to defend against trans people, forcing them to date them. And this was just a stepping stone on the path of pushing the trans people are predators narrative. Creating the baseline that trans people are going to force themselves on you makes it easier to shift into the trans people are going to force themselves on children transphobic rhetoric that is currently out there right now. This rhetoric hurts not only trans people, but also children, because it points the attention away from actual child predators, like Teacher Luke. That's right, Teacher Luke, aka Luke Rockwell, who pushed transphobic rhetoric to paint trans people as predators to his 2 million followers, was just arrested in Thailand for sexually abusing a child. The transphobic outrage farmer being a child predator shouldn't shock you at this point. It has become very obvious that the call is coming from within inside the house. And that's why I say we need to talk about how it wasn't a trans person and it wasn't a drag queen. If you're interested in knowing about more cases in which it wasn't a trans person or wasn't a drag queen, I suggest following my Twitter mutual Bex, aka Antifa Operative, because she posts a lot of those. But as always, stay vigilant, stay safe. I love you all. Until next time.